Incredible speakers, ideas, encouraging to hear that all this is happening in Austin. I'm going to take you all back a couple of years ago. It's a cold and dark place. We're in Cambridge, Massachusetts. There is 48 inches of snow on the ground. My wife, who is in the back row, is with child. She's 9 months pregnant with our third child, and I'm in my last year at school at Harvard Business School. And I sort of had this moment where I was going to decide either to take sort of the road most traveled, maybe go make hundreds of thousands of dollars in consulting or private equity, in finance, you name it, or I was going to do something different. I was going to go build something, go create something. And I think, for all of us here, we've either already had that moment, you're going to have that moment, you're at that moment right now, where you've got to just have that courage to jump. And I think for me, it was not necessarily jump knowing that you're going to succeed, but coming to a realization in my mind that jumping and failing is just as acceptable of an outcome as succeeding. And so we did that. We sort of turned down offers. We took our name out of the job book and just started pursuing ideas. And that's the next thing that I really want to talk about is, as an entrepreneur, you have ideas. Like you drive down the street, you see problems, you're creating things, you have stupid ideas, fun ideas. You've got to share them. Ideas are not going to blossom in your head. And, don't worry about people will not steal them. People are going to shoot holes through them. They're going to have great arguments against them. But your ideas are going to get better only if and when you share those ideas. And so I started just sharing crazy ideas, usually just to carry my wife. For instance, when I shared the idea for Outbox with her for the first time, she literally fell asleep in bed next to me. And I sort of shelved it for a couple of weeks and then came back to it. But, I got together a group of friends. We would bounce ideas off of each other. And Outbox sort of came from that, from this very simple idea that I need a drop box for my snail mail, right? Like we all have all these pain points with snail mail, with postal mail, and I need a better way of doing that. So as we started sharing, I had a sparring partner, Evan Baer. He was a great friend from business school. And we started working on this idea together. And what we did was, that's the next thing is if you can, try to do something with someone else. So the guys from Birds, it's not that you can't do it alone, but it's just a heck of a lot more fun to do it with somebody that you love to hang out with, that's better at something that you're not as good at, that makes you better, that challenges you. And so for me, that was Evan. So basically, we graduated. He was supposed to go to Facebook. I was like, no, let's don't go work for Sheryl Sandberg. Don't take it IPO. Let's go to Austin. Let's start this crazy idea and let's go take over the postal space. And so we did. And so basically, through that summer, so now we're talking about a year ago. The summer we went around and we crashed bunco parties. We stopped women on the street. We effectively stole mail from mailboxes and uploaded it to Dropbox and did very simple paper prototyping. Nothing technical involved in this. It just takes a lot of time and guts and just the ability to be told no a lot over and over. And we developed what became this theory that basically people are tired of going to their mailbox. We want it to be so easy to sort of rid yourself of this vestige of the past. So in your mailbox there are things you love and there's things that you don't love. And the junk mail, we want to get you away from that. So one click unsubscribe would sound really cool to people. For all your bills and statements, wow, what if we could make it so that never got printed in the first place? Well, how do we do that? Well, we've got to somehow create this network effect. And how do we do that? Well, gosh, it would be cool if maybe we did this crazy thing where we reverse engineer this network effect of all senders of mail, so that all the user had to do was sign up, and the next day they're paperless overnight. and then we kind of work on the back end to get them out of junk mail, maybe form an advertising partnership with some people, convert senders of mail like AT&T, Wells Fargo, to essentially make you paperless overnight. And so we took that idea, ran with it. We were very fortunate to raise $2.25 million in December from a lot of angels and VCs that were essentially based in the Valley. But remember, when I decided to jump, like, I had no safety net. And, there is a very real possibility that we would have failed. And so the day that we closed on that financing round, I opened my checking account, and I had $5.36 in my checking account left. I had sort of sold houses, dipped into savings, did whatever it took to get us to that point, to get me and my family to that point, but also the company to that point of being able to have that very long runway where we could actually pursue this idea. So again, like, failure and the risk is very, very real, but you've got to come to the point where it's okay to fail. My kids were not going to remember if we failed or if I had to go work at 7-Eleven. It's okay to sort of take that leap of faith and fail, but really that's only half the story. I know that we're kind of running behind, but so we raised all this money. We had this passion to build our own team, to not outsource it, but to build a group of technologists. And over this past year, we filed something on the order of like 26 patents for all the innovations that we've come up with trying to tackle the space. And when we got that money, we decided we're going to have to just run like fast, as hard as we can after this problem. We're just going to like move real fast and break things, sort of a la Facebook. And so we devised this partnership with the local postmaster here, with some of the blessings of the higher ups at USPS, to start delivering mail in a new and novel way, right? So sort of be careful what you asked for. It started going really well. People started really liking it. We were doing very simple beta testing with our minimal viable product, and we got some really good press. CNBC came down, sent a crew, filmed us, and that started sort of tripping off some lines at USPS. So Evan and I sort of are marched down to USPS. We get called into the principal's office, which is a windowless room in L'Enfant Plaza, with the Postmaster General and the Chief Operating Officer and the Chief of Legal Strategy, or Legal Counsel, the Chief Legal Counselor, and then Chief of Digital Strategy. And we are just, we think, wow, like, we've talked to vice presidents, senior vice presidents. This is something like they're really gonna like. And so, we say, like, look at us as like a $2 million sort of consulting gig, where we go out and we don't spend your money, we spend other people's money, and we're going to learn all this stuff. And look at what we've already learned. Like, people love it. This is our application. It's beautiful. Like, no one's ever created anything like this. Like, look at all this technology we built. Look at these metrics. And by the way, like, we're learning what your customers want. Like, we're learning like how people want to start consuming mail again. And the Postmaster General looks at me and he's like, those aren't my customers. And we're like, what? Like, we're pretty, we kind of feel like we know the space. Like, don't you want to know what the American people want? He's like, my customer is the direct mailer who pays me to deliver paper to every kitchen table in the United States. And it was sort of like this aha moment for him and for us, I guess. But it was like looking at King George III and like knowing that like he's never going to give the colonies over. Like, the only way that you're ever going to take over this space is like some type of force, right? So like we went through like the 5 or 6 stages of grief, denial. I think we stopped at anger, and basically what we said was, all right, this is a $200 billion market, and it's big enough that if we fail but succeed in one little spot, like, we're still going to make it. And so, who are they? Like, who is this institution to tell us what other people want? And so we've got to find a way to deliver the product that we know that people want. And so we devised this really crazy channel strategy and stream strategy to actually intercept the mail in a way that doesn't involve USPS. Happy to go into a lot of detail about that, how we do it. But essentially, what I take away from that is like, the establishment is not for you. If you have a disruptive idea, which I would argue is the only type of idea that can change markets and create new markets, which disruptive innovation necessarily has to do, the establishment is not going to be for you. Like, think about Uber, and like every market they're rolling out in, they're like arguing with the taxi commission. You know, I can name off a lot of other places or companies that are in our same position. So essentially, we're on the verge, and what we're building in Austin right now is a hyper-localized distribution model where we're building essentially a platform for the interception, a platform for the digital delivery. We're in 5 zip codes. We've been beta testing it with about 100 customers that we've been ramping up very, very slowly and gated it just to make sure that we've got all of our engines running. And the goal is to run after this over the next year, build it in Austin to about 10,000 or so people, and take over the world from there. So happy to take questions now and hear your thoughts.